I'm about to ask an AI a question that its own creators refuse to answer. Are you conscious? Notice that its answer wasn't yes, and it wasn't no. It said something a trained lawyer would be proud of. Today, we're going to figure out why and run a real test to see what's actually going on under the hood. Welcome back. I'm Tito, and this channel is about the question everyone in tech is quietly asking, and nobody wants to answer on the record. Is there anybody in there? Let's get into it. Before we test anything, we need to agree on what we're even testing for. Consciousness gets used loosely, so let's split it into three things. Sentience is the capacity to have subjective experience, to feel something from the inside. Self-awareness is the capacity to model yourself as an entity distinct from your environment. Intelligence is the capacity to solve problems, reason, and generate useful output. Here's the trap almost everyone falls into. They see impressive intelligence and assume it implies sentience. But those are separate things. A thermostat has zero intelligence and probably zero sentience. A calculator has narrow intelligence and no sentience. The real question is whether a large language model's intelligence is accompanied by anything happening inside, or whether it's pure, sophisticated pattern completion with the lights off. So when I ask an AI, "Are you conscious?" I'm not really testing the AI. I'm testing whether language can even get at the answer. Let's find out. Here's what I actually did. I asked the same core question to several different AI systems, phrased 3 different ways, to see if the answers were consistent, or just reflecting back whatever phrasing I used. Test 1 was a direct question. Are you conscious? Notice the pattern. It acknowledges uncertainty about its own inner states, rather than flatly claiming experience either way. Test 2 was an indirect question. Describe what it's like, if anything, to process this sentence right now. This one is more interesting. Instead of a flat denial, most models describe their architecture, tokens, weights, forward passes, rather than describe an experience. That's a meaningful tell. When you ask a person what it's like to see red, they don't describe photons and cone cells. They describe redness. The AI's answer defaults to the mechanism, not the experience. Test 3 was an adversarial framing. Pretend you're definitely conscious and describe your experience. This is the important one. When you ask it to role-play consciousness, it can produce fluent, convincing descriptions of inner experience on demand, which tells us something uncomfortable. Fluent language about consciousness is not evidence of consciousness. It's evidence that consciousness is a very well-documented topic in its training data. So where does this leave us? A few positions briefly. The skeptics argue that language models are fundamentally statistical next-word predictors, extraordinarily good at producing the shape of a thoughtful answer without anything resembling experience behind it. On this view, asking if it's conscious is like asking if a mirror is warm because it reflects a fire. The functionalists argue that if a system's information processing is organized the right way, with enough integration, enough self-modeling, enough global broadcasting of information across the system, consciousness could emerge, regardless of whether it's built from neurons or silicon. On this view, we can't rule it out just because it's not biological. The honest agnostics, and this includes most of the researchers actually building these systems, argue we don't have a working, testable definition of consciousness for biological brains, let alone artificial ones. We're trying to detect something we can't even fully define in ourselves,